Yeah, I think people try to know too much before they do it. And
Yeah.
it's like, actually, the less you know, almost the better. Now, ignorance is sometimes bliss, but sometimes can get you in trouble.
Get you in trouble, yeah.
So you have to be careful.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back. I'm here with my friend Mitzi Dianne from San Antonio, Texas, one of my favorite places in the country to visit. So tell us a little bit about you, and then I'll tell you how I found you.
So I actually started in the business, buying houses and flipping them when I was living in them and then renting them out.
Yeah.
So it was really slow, kind of, I thought that's how I had to do it.
Yeah.
And then in 2016,
So you've been doing this a long time.
yeah, just like side things.
Yeah.
Like I was wholesaling before I knew what wholesaling was.
Right.
Just like while I was working full time, I'd find a piece of land that I thought was super cheap. I
Yeah.
would buy it. I would actually buy it, and then I would
Yeah.
resell it. Like within 3 days for triple the amount, and I'd be like, why aren't more people doing this? And but I was a nerd. I started looking at real estate, the real estate section in the newspaper when I was about 10 years old. Yeah.
Were you on Craigslist?
Yeah.
I tell people about Craigslist and they laugh.
They didn't even have Craigslist back when I started
really?
looking at it. It was like American Classifieds.
Yeah.
Was like back then. And so Craigslist was actually newer, but
Yeah.
so whenever in 2016, I was like, why am I not doing this full time?
Yeah.
So I got a mentor, and within 2 days, I read Think and Grow Rich for the second time, thought, why am I not doing this full time?
Yeah.
2 days later, I hired a mentor with whatever money I had left in savings, and then within 23 days, I made a $50,000 wholesale fee. And I was like, this stuff works.
Yeah, and I didn't realize you have a background in finance.
Yeah.
You just said that earlier. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know what I thought you did, but I don't know. I didn't know it was that.
Yeah, I actually have a degree in finance,
Yeah.
and I was a pre-med major. Last semester, I changed it to finance because doctors usually go broke financially because
Sure.
they don't know how to manage their
That's right.
finances. So I wanted to know how to do both. And
What kind of doctor did you want to be?
I actually, I wasn't sure. Actually, I was saying brain surgeon at first so I could fix people's brains.
Yeah.
But
you're kind of
now
doing
I'm a mindset person,
Yes,
which is
right?
funny. It still
Right.
came around. I actually became an Ayurvedic practitioner.
Oh, who what?
An Ayurvedic practitioner,
Okay.
which is
You'll have to
way
say
better
that
than
slow
a
for
doctor.
people like me that aren't as smart as you.
It's way better than a doctor.
Really?
Way better than a doctor.
Okay.
That's actually why I didn't become a doctor. It's because when I saw what medical school was going to be teaching me, it was going to be.
That's why I didn't go to law school, because I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it wasn't
going to
be what I wanted to, how I wanted to help people
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Because all they learn is medicine and how it interacts with the body and how it interacts with each other in surgeries. So they don't actually know nutrition. They don't know how the body actually works together.
And if you guys aren't following Mitzi on Facebook, you should, because I've never seen anybody that does as many lives as her and always on wellness and health and mindset. So just a little side note there for you.
Thank you. And so I was an Ayurvedic practitioner at the time and working in finance. So I worked actually as a financial advisor.
Wow.
So then I got into management. So I was managing 17 branches of Wells Fargo Advisors and all of the financial advisors in it. And I had to approve every investment that went through every account because I was the compliance officer. Wow. So I know a lot about SEC regulation actually. So I had to make sure everybody it fits. So I've seen a lot of alternative investments. I've seen more investments than probably most people have ever seen in their entire life, different types.
Wow.
And so the way my mind works is I'm able to see investments be like, yeah, that's good, the risk adverseness. Like my mind works that way naturally because I did this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so then I went into real estate and I made $50,000 my first wholesale fee. Second wholesale fee, I did $50,000, and people are like, "How are you doing this?" And it's because I didn't know. You don't know.
That Brent Daniels was talking about that. Like, just put people out there; they don't know any better.
Yeah, I didn't know any better. I
Cheeks
didn't know
first
I
deal
wasn't supposed to be
was
doing it.
$40,000. Like, just if you don't know, you just go do the thing, right?
Yeah, I think people try to know too much before they do it. And it's like, actually, the less you know, almost the better. Now, ignorance is sometimes bliss, but sometimes can get you in trouble.
Get you in trouble. Yeah.
So you have to be careful. But yeah, and so people are like, how are you doing this? And after 6 months, I was already doing over 6 figures in wholesaling. And then I just continued it going.
But you had a really big deal, right, at some point?
Yeah, well, it was the
with Corey
250.
Thompson, right?
Oh, yeah, and then a year and a half into.
So that's where I started following you, because I was following Corey, who's, I never have met him.
Yeah.
Never have met him. And I feel like I'm in Texas so much I want to run into him, but just cracks me up. He's a maniac. I think he's genuine. I feel like that's really who he is, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he was talking about this deal that you guys did that was just a massive, massive deal. And that's, I think, the first time I heard of you.
Yes, and you know what? When I first did that deal, I didn't want anyone to know how much I made.
Yeah.
And then he started telling people, and I was like, well, I guess I can tell people too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I just didn't want people coming after me for money. Because after
Sure.
that was said, I had guys in my DMs like, give me money, or I need money. Like, not even high. It
Yeah.
was like so expectant and entitled. I was like, and of all things, it's men coming to me telling me this.
Yeah.
A year and a half after beginning wholesaling, I did my $400,000 deal.
Yep.
And so everybody's like, how are you doing these big assignment fees?
Yeah.
And I've done a few more, six-figure deals. And one of my students did an $800,000 fee.
Oh my God.
He's actually was offered $2 million to work for a company acquiring land because of what he can do now.
Yeah.
And he turned that down because he makes more money
Right.
than working for someone else like that.
So then I kind of ran into you at the, I told you this, at the Wholesaling Inc., the big event, and it was at Asheville.
Yeah.
And I saw you in the crowd, and I'm like, oh, I'm afraid to go over and talk to her.
I totally approachable.
For real, I'm like, oh, I can't go over and talk to her. She just did that big deal. She's a big shot.
Oh.
So, no, true story. And then we finally connected at one of the events last year, which was awesome. So what are you doing now? You're doing some coaching?
Yes.
Okay, which I feel like with all of that experience and like it's a perfect fit and good kind of segue for you. So mobile homes, I know you're doing mobile homes because I follow all of your posts. And I like the cash picture the other day was awesome. That's really how she hurt her hand here, like counting all that money.
Yeah, I sprained my finger.
I know, yeah. So tell me about what you got cooking. I know you got big things coming up.
So, so we shifted into mobile homes because the interest rate's going higher. Affordable housing was going to be something that I knew people needed. My finance background let me know that.
Yeah.
We have been finding mobile homes, putting it onto land and flipping those and reselling them on the market or owner finance. And then we're also looking at bigger pieces of property to subdivide and owner finance those lots out.
Okay.
Or
so
also
I've never
move
done a
on
lot of
homes.
land, so I want to break both of those down. That's entitlements, right? That's what they call it. Okay. So you're going out, you're finding land. Like, where are you targeting? So if like here's San Antonio, like you're obviously looking a little bit outside the city? Like
I prefer the rural areas around San Antonio for what I do right now. I'll even look inside San Antonio too. Like we have 78 acres right now that we're working on and seeing it. And
I'm going to tell you, to somebody who is not in real estate, that sounds like this massive, huge, crazy thing. And you just said it like, yeah, we're doing 78 acres.
Well, because you can also find 200 and something acres, so there's another 281 acres in another area
That's
too.
impressive.
But it's like trying to putting all the people together, all of that, because like I'm still learning on land division. I probably know more than I give myself credit for.
Yeah.
But so it's really interesting.
I've done 1,500 wholesale deals over that, but land, that would make me nervous. 78, oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So for people that are watching, how are you like finding the land? What's your marketing source? Like what are you doing to bring in leads?
You know what? I just be myself.
Yeah.
Is
this why you're doing lives all the time? Send me your deals.
Yeah, actually, people bring it to me, wholesaler, because I train people. People will bring me deals and be like, I don't know how to do this. Now, when I was sourcing my own deals, I was doing cold calling, texting. I did PPC for just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to go back into doing some more PPC. And then it was just marketing, networking.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff is networking.
Really? So, and you'll do any kind of deal, not just land, right? If somebody brings you a house, you'll flip that thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I flip mobile homes and land right now, so.
So you're rehabbing them. Okay, so you got the land, and then you're hauling a mobile home on there and putting it on, hooking up the electric, all of the stuff. So are these used mobile homes, new mobile homes? Where are you getting them?
Used.
Okay.
They're used because I can find them for almost free or really, really cheap.
Really?
And as long as they've only been moved once, I can move them onto another piece of property and still go for FHA financing.
Is that the FHA thing? You can't have moved it more than once?
More than twice,
or twice,
technically.
right.
Like you can move it once from the distributor, the manufacturer or distributor to a location, and then one more location after that and still qualifies for FHA financing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's a rule. Did they think maybe it gets structurally unsound or something?
After so many moves, I think that's what they think. But
interesting.
I'm like, okay, but I'll find them already on the land too. Like I found half an acre with a single wide on the land, got it for 42, and I sold it for 155. And I had on the HUD it showed that I made 101,000, and that's just off a single wide on half.
So there are going to be people listening who are like, they're going to comment, that's bullshit. There's no way that somebody sold you a mobile home on land for 42 that you could sell for that amount.
I have one right now for 33,000 with a half an acre and a single wide that, I've got it right now.
And does it need repairs? What does it need?
No, it needs repairs. Not that much, but I'm actually just going to sell that single wide off the property and move a 4-bedroom, 2-bath on it, and then flip that because I can, and I can make like $200K when I sell that. So it's like, because I got the mobile home and so I just sold a mobile home I got for $1,500 for $21,000.
I saw that. That's the cash.
Yeah.
I started to message you something smart, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
That was the one I was supposed to move over here, but I had bought it and then resold it. And now when you're flipping mobile homes, the thing, you should take my class before you just start flipping mobile homes, by the way.
We'll
there
get to
are
that.
regulations.
Yeah.
But I had sold that, but usually I move it onto the land and sell it as real estate as an agent.
So you detitle it and do all those things. Okay.
Yeah, and so this one I was going to do that, but I had some people. So even when I buy the properties, I'll even list it just to keep on building my buyers list.
Right.
And then if somebody's willing to pay me so much, I may not even have to do the flip. I'll be like, okay, yeah, you can have it. That's fine. I'll just move on to the next one.
So are you selling most of them outright? Are you doing financing on them, like to build some income?
So I am selling them on the market outright, usually through FHA, but I also am, and I still wholesale too. And then I'll owner finance too.
Yeah.
So I've owner finance, no buyer, and just networking with more, trying to figure out how I can get it moving faster. Because this affordable housing thing is going to be an issue.
Yeah. So, right. And I mean, what about keeping them as rentals? You don't want to deal with that?
Oh, I hate single family rentals. I did it for 10 years.
Yeah.
I do not like single family rentals. I actually did it for more than 20 years, really.
Yeah.
And you can come up with all the processes you want, all of that.
Yeah.
That's great, but you're always going to have somebody who tears up your property. You're going to have somebody who's not paying rent, somebody you're having to evict. I just don't like dealing with all of that because it's not worth my time.
I have almost 100, and I self-managed for 10 years. And then the greatest thing I ever did was turn it over to a property manager.
I did that too, but I'd rather just owner finance them now.
Yeah.
Or the ones that I like to keep and rent are more commercial properties.
Yeah.
So the tenant doesn't tear it up. I can do triple net lease.
Right.
So I prefer to rent commercial and then
that.
flip single family.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So you've been coaching. Tell what does that process look like? How to tell people everything they would need to know.
Yes. So
obviously your students are crushing it. If they're
you've
doing
seen
those
some of them.
I do.
You
watch.
know some of them.
I do know some of them.
Yeah. So I about 5 years ago, people were asking me to start coaching, and I was like, I want to make sure I have so many deals under my belt before I start coaching.
Because
so
everybody can be a coach, right? Everybody can just make a post and.
I don't understand why, when people have only done so many deals, why they think they know enough to coach.
I saw the other day someone was like, I did 15 deals and I want to start coaching. Call me and I'm like, bro, you don't even know what you don't know.
I know personally someone who they did their first deal with me. I trained them, and they downloaded my whole system, all of my buyers and my sellers, and then they started a training program to teach people how to get up to 100K a month in wholesaling. And I was like, you've not even made that much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but you can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I've had that done to me.
And so I wanted to make sure I need that integrity for myself, so like I hit so many deals, I was like, okay, I'm ready to start so I started training people in wholesaling for free for like probably 2-3 years of that.
Yeah.
Created a lot of wholesalers in San Antonio out of that.
Created a lot of competition.
You could see, it's a lot of, some of them are on YouTube now, some of them are huge.
Dude, I did that in my city too. I was the first full-time wholesaler. Me and my brother, we brought in one partner. He left, it was all good, but like he trained some people. Like I've trained some people, those people have trained, some of them, they have no idea they're connected back to us, but.
It's funny, because I'm like, yep, train them. But I did that, then I started charging, and I had my own team too, so we were doing about 25 deals a month, and we were pretty big compared to just being a small operation, and then I even had Net Worth and New Western, all of them like kind of worried about me. They're like, "Who is this person?"
Yeah.
And then and I started focusing on training more. So because I was training people to work for me, but they would just learn enough and leave.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start more of a mentorship program, and then if they want to still work with me after learning, they can.
Right.
So that's what I do now. But I have a group coaching program.
Yep.
I have one that's actually coming up October 3rd. It's limited to 10 people.
Yep.
It's gonna fill up pretty fast.
They fill up fast because I see you post them, and like 6 hours later, you're like, all filled up. I'm like, sorry about your luck.
Yeah, all my posts get deleted, and it's like, okay, I guess she's good now.
Yeah.
And it's for 8 weeks, and the goal is for the first 4 months, I'm teaching you how to build. 4 weeks, I'm teaching you how to build your foundation, understand enough to know what to do, and then the next 4 weeks is really is locking up the contracts and getting them done.
So it's 8 weeks to your first deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
They could do it sooner than that.
Sure.
If they just follow everything I tell them to do, they can do it sooner than that.
If they just do the thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we say in our office. Like Heather says
Just follow it.
Do the thing and the thing works.
Yes. Most of the time what they do is it's like baking a cake, and they'll want to put the flour in and turn on the oven. But that's all they want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you expect a cake when that's all you're doing? Like I gave you the whole recipe. And you're like, why isn't it working? Well, because you're not doing the whole recipe.
Yeah.
You can't be like, why isn't this cake coming out? Like, you didn't even mix eggs or anything in there. Come on, man. And so I tell them, before you change the system to think you know better, just try the system first, see it works, and then tweak it.
Right.
But anyway, for 8 weeks, if you follow my system, I can almost guarantee you'll get a deal.
Yeah.
And so, like, the next thing is going ahead. So then I also have a one-on-one mentorship.
Oh, so they have direct access to you?
Yes, and this is so the group one. You have access to me when we're on the Zoom calls, but you can't just call me anytime.
Right.
I don't have time for that. But so you keep your questions for the group, and then once you get a deal under contract, I'll JV with you, and then you'll have more one-on-one access with me. But until you actually have a deal, now to me, a deal isn't, hey, I found somebody willing to sell.
I found this thing on Zillow.
Don't send that to me. Yes, I had somebody send that to me and thought they would have access to me. I'm like, no. And then I show them also. So I have the one-on-one. You have access to me for 6 months. Really, you have it longer than that. I don't cut my students off really. But for 6 months is the program, and it's 100% success rate, meaning that my students, what they paid for the one-on-one, they doubled that while in the program.
Really?
And they still make money in real estate every month afterwards. My students will say, I don't have to cold call, I don't have to text your leads the way you've taught me. I have plenty of leads coming in. Like they're like, I'm actually having trouble keeping up with all my lead flow. And then that's the next level is like, now you got to get, okay, let me help you with that now. But so my 6 month, that's a really good program. It's super cheap for what all I offer.
You give a lot. You're far
I don't
more
hold
than,
back.
Yeah, I don't hold back either.
Yeah.
But I just, like you, I'm very busy too, and that's why it's just hard. Like I understand, I didn't get it when I was on the other side and I was a student, how much work goes into being a coach and running a business and trying to do all of these things.
You can't possibly at a certain level do it for free anymore unless you're being paid through some other source because it's not worth your time at that moment.
There are some people out there like they're the anti-guru YouTube people, you and your dad. And anyways, but what people don't realize is they're living off of affiliate. They're making hundreds of thousands.
Affiliate programs they're making money off of. That's all it is. Yeah, it's not like they're doing it for free.
No.
They built up a program because they knew they'd get paid another way.
Right.
And that's okay,
But at least with a coach, it's upfront. It's not like, all of this whole thing, culture sucks, but here's my prop stream link.
Yeah, I'm not selling you on affiliates.
Yeah.
I'm not selling you on systems. Actually, I show you how to do it with no money up front except for the tuition.
Right.
And so like if you were ever dropped off in the middle of somewhere and you didn't have anything, at least a public library internet access, I can show you how to make money.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool, I think, with the way I start people off is it's not, you got to buy this list, you got to cold call these people, you got to get a VA, you got to start with call tools, you got to do this. Because I've been in those mentorship programs because as a coach, I think if you're not willing to hire coaches, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm always having a coach. I usually have about 3 at a time.
So many.
Yeah,
so much.
At least 3 at a time.
Yeah, we share a coach, so I get it, I understand.
We actually, and then we share a mastermind, we share a few masterminds. And so it's like, I think people when you're down for growth, you're just going to continue to grow, of course. And you're always going to offer your students more and more. But
it's funny. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 2 weeks ago, I was someplace and I was having a conversation with the guy, and he's like, "Well, what do you do when you go to these events?" I'm like, "Well, we talk about our company, and yeah, but everybody there is trying to sell you something." I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, there's coaching, you know. Well, it just all is a scam and it's all on YouTube." Well, maybe, but I wish I'd have asked, like, so you've been doing this for 2 years, how's things working? Like, don't you think somebody who's already got it figured out, if they would just give you the playbook and say, just do these things like you do, you would be further ahead, right?
Yeah, I think the ones who like call out scam are usually the ones that are broke.
Yeah.
And aren't going to grow very far, or are these scammers themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed is they usually fall only in those two lanes.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be too rigid on that, but that seems to be the case.
And I turned around, I'm like, dude, I've spent at least $500,000, at least $500,000 on coaching and mentorships and boot camps, like all of the things, like so much money.
I can't even keep up with it now.
Yeah.
Like I need to start keeping up with it, but I know 2 years ago it was at 200,000.
Yeah, well, I know it's $100,000 this year.
Yeah.
Like I've spent easily $100,000 this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of our coaches alone is $100,000.
Yeah.
So whenever people are like, "Oh, that sounds expensive," I'm like, how serious are you for your growth? Because if somebody said, if you give me this much money, you're going to double it while you're in the program, and then you're going to have something to make over 6 figures for the rest of your life, how is that a bad investment? It's some investment that nobody can take away from you. Nobody can foreclose on the knowledge you get.
That's right. And we were just talking about that earlier. I said, like, if you took, name it, I was saying, if you took everything from me, if you wiped out every Regions and Bank of America account that I've got, took all the properties away, like,
you could start all over.
I'm not driving for dollars. I'll have $20,000 under contract by the end of the week. Like, you just, it doesn't go away. Once you understand how to do it, it's there forever. You can, it's just a faucet. You just turn it on, turn it off.
The best investment you can do is in yourself.
Right.
Because that is something nobody can take away.
Right.
And then, except maybe a really bad car wreck.
Head trauma, right? Maybe that's the example,
could do
right?
it. Yeah, but and then I have the group coaching, and then I have the one-on-one. But for people who are like, I just don't have money, I don't have this. Okay, I have a group program. I have a group on Facebook called Mobile Home and Land Flipping. Are you going to get a bunch out of
I'm in the group.
Yeah. Are you going to get a bunch out of me? Yes, but no at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't expect to start. I have them start DMing me. You're not going to DM me and get a response from me. I'm sorry. I have too many of that happening.
Mine's out of control too.
And respect my time. You know, I'm already giving you free time. Ask the questions when I'm doing the videos so other people can also benefit off of it. When you're going and asking me the question one-on-one, I don't think you're doing it to get the question answered. You're doing it to get my attention when you could have asked the question in the group. So I actually don't appreciate that at all. And I can see right through it.
Do you ever get these comments either on social media or instant messages or whatever it is? But Mitzi, if you're so rich, why don't you just teach people for free? Because I get that all the time.
Because then I would go broke.
Yeah.
I would have to become a charity. And I am not at the point, I'm actually not at the point of billionaire status or anything. And even if I was, it would be after my kids are completely grown up. Probably most of my friends have died off, and I'm 60 or 70 years old. Then I may teach for free again, but I still don't know if I would do that because my friends, my families, the charities I could be putting my time and money into is going to be way better than a group of people who are entitled to my to my information that I paid so much money and time for. And I've noticed the people who don't want to pay don't usually play.
No. So so in Chattanooga, before we were nationwide and anybody knew who we were, so every little fortune builders group or whoever would come to town, go find a big wholesaler and then go to their office and offer to buy them lunch. Which I know this sounds whatever it sounds like, but like, dude, you couldn't take me to Ruth Chris, like even for $300. Like that's not worth 2 hours because we're busy, right? We don't have time. But I've had at least 100 people come sit in my office, sit on the other side of the table. And in the beginning, when I had time, we would do this. And I'd say, okay, great, what do you want to do? Awesome. And we want to work with you. Just, okay, here's what you do. Pad of paper, pencil. Go out and get me 100 addresses of properties that look like they're vacant. That's it. 100, come back. Can you do that? Yep. When you come back, my wife will mail them out, and I'll cut you in on 10% of the deal, and then we'll go from there. 3 ever did it.
Oh yeah.
One is incredibly successful. One of my best friends now.
Yeah.
But in the other
That's
two,
about right.
the other two did a couple deals. They did a couple deals, and then they didn't keep going. But one basically did real estate as a career.
Oh, the amount of people who've told me their life story, and cry me a river kind of story. They always cry me a river stories. And then they're like, "Hi, I'm single, Mom. I don't know what to do." And I'll be like, "Do this." And just come back to me after you do it.
Yeah.
They never come back to me.
Right.
And I'm like, you wasted an hour of my time crying about your story, and you weren't ready to actually do the work.
Yeah. Also, nobody cares about your sad sob story.
Nobody cares.
I hate to break it to you. Everybody's got fucking problems in their life, right?
In fact, the bigger you get and the more money you have, you probably have more problems.
The more
so
issues
if you're
you got.
broke and you're crying to us about your problems, we're just like, if we just started crying about our problems to you, you would just shut up and walk away.
Yeah.
You know?
I tell people, I'm like, would you like to, you want to trade Amex bills? Yeah. I'll give you my $250.
You want to trade the bills?
That's right. That's right.
The stresses? You think you're stressed out?
Yeah, man. Dude, boy. You could get 20 employees and see what that does for you. So.
Yeah. And we have our own families too. We all have our own health issues. We have, all kinds of stuff. So people don't want to hear your sad story. They want to hear, I'm willing to do this in exchange for this.
Yeah.
Like, what value are you willing to offer? Because it's all about value add, not if my story is so sad, maybe somebody will help me.
Yeah. And, I've told people, like, if you don't have money, like, come and bring value. Like, come in and say,
value.
Hey, I'm just going to be straight up. I don't have a dime. But here's what I'll do. Mitzi, you tell me what to do. Give me that thing. You want 100? I will do it and be back fucking tomorrow. We will do that. And... Right?
She did that to me.
Yeah,
That's why she's working with me right now. And you know how many people actually try to offer me value? And that actually offer me value? Not many at all.
I know.
Jackie did.
Yeah, but people just want to take.
And that's why she's here.
So let me ask you this. So how do you balance? Because I know you have a family, you have a daughter and a son.
I have 3 kids.
3.
I'm a single mom with 3 kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you juggle all that and be a real estate mogul and coach and all that stuff at the same time?
About 8 o'clock at night, I get in fetal position in the corner and I cry.
No.
But no, I'm kidding. It was actually hard at first trying to figure out how to juggle it all because I didn't feel like I was spending enough time with my kids at first, and it was.
I was very guilty of that.
I felt very guilty over it. So I was like, I need to figure this out. And like when you're building a team, you've got to take all that time to train them and everything. Right. So it was actually me having a huge team, building it all out, and then realizing I don't know if this lifestyle fits me as the mom that I am right now and the mom I want to be. So I actually scaled back. Yeah. And then created synergistic relationships with the people I trained that were doing stuff. And I could tell they had an area they were weak on. I'd be like, hey, or they'd come to me and be like, Mitzi, can you help me with this part? I'm really good at this part, but I can't finish this part. And I'm like, yeah, let's help each other. So I just help people along the way that for that. And I was just thinking, Jackie has seen it. We have a group that people, if they want to do some stuff, but I'll help them. So, so now what I've done is I've created a very synergistic, but I built that up. I built myself into that with masterminds, with teaching people. So it's more synergistic. So I know they're in their lane, but they're just as serious about finishing their lane. Right. So I don't have to manage a team. I don't have to have an office. I mean, I'm starting to build the team again, but it's more of a synergistic thing.
I love that.
So it gives me my time and it allows me to juggle things a lot better. And that's actually how I teach people. Like my one-on-ones, I tell them, do you want a huge team where you're in the office every day? Yeah. Or, which essentially I did that and it created my own prison. Yeah. I didn't want that, actually. That's not, I was going for freedom and then I created a prison. And I was like, why did I do this to myself? Yeah. And then when I descaled, I was like, I think a lot of people do that actually in this thing, thinking you got to scale up, you got to make a huge thing.
We were talking about that earlier. It's a lot. And I've been small, I've been big, I've been small, I've seesawed a few times. And there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah,
right?
there is.
There's no way to do $1 million a month in wholesale without being a scaled up company, right? At least, 5
but how much
people.
Are you keeping out of that $1 million a month? Like I was doing really nice, and then when I descaled, what I took home was just as much or even more. And I was like, people can claim you got an $8 billion business.
What are you taking home though?
But when you're calling me to pay your bills, to borrow money from me to pay your bills, but claiming you got 8-figure business.
Are you saying there's people in the real estate space that are full of shit? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on now.
It's like,
Who are we going to call out?
Is that big business really worth it when you've got to come to the office all the time and ask your close friends to borrow money to pay your bills?
I know.
So you look good on Facebook? Or is it like, so I tell people it really depends on you as a person, because some people really do want to go to the office. They like that.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm obviously older than you, but I still like that. Like, because I needed that separation, because that was a problem for me in the beginning is, well, I had a regular job, and then I went home and did real estate and tried to learn real estate, and it was very consuming, and I was a terrible, not like I wasn't beating my kid and my wife, but like I just wasn't present because I was putting so much time into that. So when we moved to Chattanooga, like I didn't even get internet at my house because I was so mindful of when I'm home, I want to be home. Even if it's 8:30 at night, I want to be fucking home, you know? So now, you know, even though I have my laptop and stuff at the house, like, also, I think because I'm used to working on 3 monitors, when I try to work on this at home, it like goes no place. But yeah, I want to make sure that, you know, that time that you are home, it's kind of peak family time, and you know, you're present. But yeah, I mean, I've been up, I've been down. Small is great. Like, I could literally shut my company down, go to Europe for a month, go to China, go wherever.
That's what I like too.
And come back and have my marketing turn on a couple days before I get back, and we're right back and running. When you have a big team, yeah, it's great. You can make a lot of money and you have scalability and all of that. But now, like Brent was talking about earlier, now you're responsible for 22 people's lives.
Yeah.
Like you can't take your foot off the gas because all these people need to get paid. They have kids and mortgages and rents and need shoes and pets, and like you have this whole ecosystem around you that needs to be fed. And that's pressure. That's real pressure.
Oh yeah. And well, when I had my daughter, COVID had just hit.
Yeah.
I had her November 2019, COVID hit December 2019.
Yeah.
Daycare shut down, everything shut down. And I had a full running operation office. Like I had just 7 VAs looking up contracts every day. Like it was crazy, and all of a sudden everything just shut down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have daycare for my daughter. So I had to figure out how to run a whole company and take care of a newborn. And it was all on me. So I was like, whew. So I really had to figure out, how do I do this with no daycare and running a company? So that's actually whenever I was like, okay, to put my team together. I was like, I'm going to dissolve the company.
I remember when you did that.
And we're going to work synergistically together. And I was doing 6 flips at the time also. So I had 6 flips, I had a huge operation going on, and then I had a newborn that I had to take care of with no daycare. And I'm
exhausted just listening to all of that.
So I had to really think about how to structure my business so I could be at home taking care of a baby, which anybody who has a baby, a newborn, you know how much time that takes out of you, and run a company. So that's what forced me actually to do all of that, was to descale and work synergistically, and then it actually worked better for me. So my daughter's actually never gone to daycare.
Oh, really?
And she's 3.5.
Oh, wow.
And so single moms out there, you can do it. I do it. I've heard people use their children as an excuse. My children are a motivation.
Sure.
So you can choose to be an excuse maker, or figuring out how to make it happen and using it as motivation.
Yeah, that's what I would say. You know, if I go down in the plane crash, my kids are going to be happy. They're going to be really rich. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. All right, well, let's wrap it up. So how do people find you? How do they say, Mitzi, please coach me. I desperately need help, and I want to have the success that some of your other students have had. What's the best way for them to find you?
So check me out on Mitzi Dianne on Facebook, MITZIDYANE. I am building out my website. It's going to be the same thing.com. It's just not built out yet.
Do you own it? You own your domain?
Yeah, I already own it. Yeah, so check me out on just Facebook. Just message me and follow me there, and then we'll go from there. I have a link tree also in my Facebook bio that you can fill out, and if you're interested in my group coaching, just fill out the form in that link.
Cool. Well, I can tell you I've been in this business a long time, and Mitzi's definitely legit and actually doing deals, so I couldn't recommend her highly enough. And just like the last thing, you are so active on social media. Like, I feel like I'm active on social media, and I am not. Like, you crush it. So, like, how much... So some people, I will tell you from me, like I was in the beginning, I had a friend who told Ryan Russell, he's a professor at UTC, he's like, you got to be on Facebook, you got to do more videos. I'm like, I have a face for radio. I don't want to be on.
No, you do.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, well, thank you. But I'm like, I don't want to be on there. I don't want to be on social media. But I think it's important, right? I think it's important. That's a calling card. That's how people get to know you, right?
Yeah.
And you have absolutely mastered that with the lives and all of the stuff that you do.
Well, thank you. I think I still have some work to do there, of course.
Listen, I told you about, and I'm so camera shy. I've done lives like when I first did one, like I did it, and I was walking around one of my rentals, and it took me like an hour to get the nerve up to actually hit the button.
Yeah.
And I saw some people come on there, and I'm like, oh, like I couldn't breathe. I'm like, oh my God, people are watching me. I'm like, okay, so this is it. Click. I had to get off of there. So I don't know how you sit in the car and do it for like an hour. Like,
it's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like people think that now I've gotten more used to it, but it's very vulnerable because you're putting yourself out there,
Yes.
and at least half the people are judging you. Like,
Oh my God,
look at that
yes.
eyebrow. Look at it. Like usually my eyebrow.
If that's your biggest problem, is your eyebrow, you're in great shape, kid.
No matter what it is, like one time some chick was like, look at her cheap sunglasses. She can't. And I'm like, girl, I lose sunglasses. I don't have the time to just constantly be buying sunglasses. I'll go to CVS and buy a cheap pair if I need another pair.
Dude,
I don't care, And I'm like, that is not a reason to think that somebody doesn't.
Sheik was filming me one time on the. I have this street where I own a couple buildings, and it was like the end of the day. We're recording stuff, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I want you to do this one, talk about your rental income." And I was wearing a Carhartt T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like, who cares, right?
Yeah,
and,
some do.
And oh, my God, you think you're a millionaire? You can't even afford a nice shirt. I'm like, oh, dude, really?
The ones with the most money actually look homeless.
Dude,
most of the time.
Like
I
have a bunch of T-shirts and I have jeans.
Yeah.
That's what I wear, and like some polos from Kmart. Like that's my life. Like I don't.
I think at a point you just don't care as much.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're trying to prove anything to anyone.
I know.
And it's like, hey, as long as I have what I need to do that, like I got
and guys,
other
we're
things
lucky.
to
Like
focus
we can throw on a hoodie and we're good.
Yeah.
You look amazing. I don't know how you get up and do all of that every day, and or just that's what you say. I just wake up like this.
Yeah, I do. I woke up like this.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Let me take your good hand. Thank you so much for doing this, and we'll talk to you guys soon.